You're watching Lens on Africa. It's time to focus the lens on Africa's most untapped resources, talking about expanding the intellectual capacity of women in Africa for a better political participation. We will examine the challenges, opportunities, and success stories of women who are breaking down barriers and pushing the boundaries of what's possible on the continent of Africa on our discussion segment of the program. But after this backgrounder.
In the realm of African politics, the role of women has long been undervalued and underrepresented, despite their significant contribution to society. The narrative is changing as awareness grows regarding the importance of empowering women intellectually to enhance their political participation. By expanding women's intellectual capacity through education, training, and mentorship programs, Africa can harness the untapped potentials of its female population and foster a more inclusive and diverse political landscape. Through initiatives that prioritize the intellectual development of women in Africa, such as leadership seminars, workshops on public policy, and advocacy training, strides are being made towards breaking down barriers that hinder women from actively engaging in political spheres. By equipping women with the knowledge, skills, and confidence necessary to navigate the complexities of politics, we can create a more equitable and representative governance system that reflects the diverse voices and perspectives of African women. Lens on Africa's interview segment today sheds light on expansion of women's intellectual capacity for a better political participation in Africa. The interaction will highlight initiatives and opportunities for empowering women in politics, hoping to inspire policymakers, stakeholders, and the general public to prioritize the advancement of women's intellectual capacity as a means to driving positive change and fostering a more inclusive political landscape in Africa. Stay tuned.
Yes, we have two guests joining us as we delve into the complex and fascinating world of African women's empowerment and discover the transformative power of education, activism, and leadership in the persons of Mrs. Margaret Nkpanam. She is the Managing Director, McBrien Nigeria Limited, founder, Golden Shining Stars Success Club, National President, African Mothers Initiative. And of course, she is a finance consultant with finance houses. And also joining us on the program is Mrs. Michelle Simmons Safo, an activist and a poet. She holds a degree in psychology and master's degree in psychiatric social work, AMHP accreditation, and a postgraduate certificate in leadership and management from Middlesex University. She is an elected councillor in her home ward in Tottenham, Haringey. Michelle is a Nigerian born in London and is married to a Ghanaian. Women, you are welcome to Lens on Africa.
Thank you so much.
So good to have pretty women at the program this week. And I say congratulations to all of us because the month of March is usually, set aside for women. To be precise, I think 5th or 7th of March is our day.
Yes.
All right, now we have seen the background talking about expanding the capacity, intellectual capacity of women for political participation. Yes. I should start with you, Mrs. Michelle. Drawing from your wealth of experience working outside the shores of Nigeria,
Yes.
by extension of course, Africa.
Yes.
What would you say is your assessment of the political participation of women in Africa?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to make a slight correction that I'm born in England, in London. My parents are from the Caribbean.
Okay, the Caribbean.
Yeah, they're from the Caribbean.
But from your profile, your DNA.
My DNA, yes.
That,
I took a DNA test 3 years ago and found out I was predominantly Nigerian.
Okay.
So I took my own pilgrimage back to Nigeria to make sure that the transatlantic slave trade did not annihilate their daughter returning home.
And that makes you a Nigerian.
Yes, that's right.
By the way.
So that makes me a Nigerian.
Yeah.
Now, going back to... Thank you very much. It has been such a wonderful experience. I have a slogan now, Nigeria is nice. So, I want to encourage everybody to take that pilgrimage back themselves. Now, moving back to your question, can you refresh my memory about my...
Your assessment.
Okay.
Yes, of political participation of women in this climb. Talking about Africa.
Okay.
And, of course, to be specific, Nigeria.
Okay. Well, I can see that Nigeria hasn't got so much visible politicians that are female, but Africa in itself is not negligent of having that, because you had the first lady of Liberia who, pioneered that. Also, I have met politicians outside of Nigeria. I met Hawa Yeboah, who's a Ghanaian politician. But when I look around Nigeria, I don't see that visibility of women in politics. And there are many reasons for that, which we can discuss later. One of it is the patriarchal society that we're living in, that doesn't allow women equity. It doesn't give them opportunity. And it's not that they're not enriched in having that knowledge base to be able to contribute to politics. But I think that there's many embargoes put on them that doesn't allow them to be at the forefront of driving forward change in Nigeria. And I think that's a real untapped talent. And it's a shame that it hasn't been come to the forefront.
All right, that's good. That's your assessment of the political terrain when it comes to women in Africa. All right, let me talk to you, Mrs. Margaret. Looking at what she just said, she has mentioned one out of the barriers that are really hindering women from participating effectively in politics in this part of the world. What is your take on this?
Okay, like she mentioned earlier, thank you very much, darling. She mentioned the societal norms, which has been the dominant factor. And I'll also throw more light on lack of education and lack of platforms for exposure. You see, one thing about leadership is we have some that are inherent and we have some that are cultivated. So we have women that are born leaders, and we have women that are skilled in leadership. And it's because some of them have not been exposed to the public, and that is why we are still thinking that we are lagging behind. Let's see what the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and administration is doing. Currently, the women have 35%, yes, 35% quota in participation in governance, and it's really helping. Like from the state where I come from, Cross River State, one of the barriers has been funding, and I want to say thank you to Her Excellency. Pardon me for doing this, but it's important because she's one of the women in Nigeria that is doing a lot to give a platform for women participation in politics. In Cross River State, the ticket for political offices was reduced. Yes, it was reduced to variable amount, so people could women in politics could afford the ticket and participate. And if you come to my state, almost all the vice chairman of local government are women. So I can probably say that we are doing well. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, that's brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, kudos to Her Excellency Bishop Dr. Ayowan Basutu, the First Lady of Cross River State, and to some excellent and awesome mothers in Nigeria who are also taking up this initiative to destroy the barriers so that people like us can conveniently and smoothly come into politics. Thank you.
All right. she has mentioned the barrier,
Yes.
according to her experience.
Yes.
Can you throw more light from your perspective coming from outside the shores of Nigeria?
There is less female representation in England, more so black women as well. So we not only face racism, but we face sexism as well. To be able to penetrate that barrier and to get into politics. But you have to be inside making the noise, not outside beating the drum. So we have the MP Diane Abbott, who is now the mother of the House of Parliament because she's been there since 1987. She's somebody who inspired me to actually go into politics. If you can see it, you can be it. If you have a visual that you can aspire to, we have so many mentors and coaches that we've never even met. But when you see them and you see that they've made a valid contribution to change the landscape and to make improvements for you, then that is absolutely great. We have different initiatives within England, one of them with the slogan, elect her. So they have things like coaching and mentoring. They put money behind initiatives to get women onto platforms. They also do many strategic things, which is not to have meetings and sessions in the evenings when women cannot participate. In my constituent, we do not have any meetings in the 6 weeks holiday or the half-term holiday because we know that that is another embargo that's placed on women to be able to participate in that. We also have things with coaching and mentoring. So I will go out and try and lobby women and women's groups to make them feel that it's possible and that it's not something that's a barrier for them to come to and to contribute to the table. So over the long period of time, from growing up when I was very little and we had Margaret Thatcher as a lone ranger running the country, we can now see a different, the parties look very different, where women are there, and that's all through that strategy that they've placed for us to be able to actually access and be included.
All right, it's a fantastic strategy. So when we talk about empowering women now, and of course putting in policies to bring women on board, more women on board for politics in terms of participation in politics, what would you say?
Create a funding line for women. There is a program, a just completed program that was held in the Villa. They call it She is Included. I think it was done from the office of the Vice President. And it was about financing women. Because politics has a very huge demand on your finances. So if you have women who are not financially capable, but they have the leadership strength, they might find it very difficult to come up the ladder. So I think that one thing is, another very important thing is education. Of course, everybody knows we need education. We need women that have good negotiation skills, communication skills. But those are preliminary. Create a financing line for women because money is very important in politics. And that is why I'm very impressed with what the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is doing today. They have made it easy for women to come up. Look at that program I told you about. It was real. It wasn't one of those wish-washing programs. It's something that you can dip your hand in and get something out. We have some finance consultants that were on the panels and they discussed about it. I was also there representing the First Lady of Cross River State. That is why I can boldly talk about it, because it's something that we need more of it. And we also need a platform where women can showcase their leadership strength, like what African Mothers Initiative is all about.
All right.
These things are very, very important because you will shut some women up because you feel they don't have the financial strength or the background to come offline. But by the time we have a program, an initiative that is open to every woman to participate, I can tell you, the Esther of our generation can come in from the Nazareth. Right? Yeah, they can come in from the smallest of the villages. Right?
Okay.
They can come in from the smallest of the villages, and they can come and take a bigger platform and then show you something that you least expected.
I'm talking about bigger platform. Yes. Some women that I was opportuned to interview, will tell you that the money is not there for them to buy tickets. When it comes to elective posts and the rest of them, how do we address that issue?
You see, that is why I say, if you create a bigger platform for women participation, for instance, an interstate debate, which I am sorry to say, the African Mothers Initiative, I am proud to say, sorry, the African Mothers Initiative is organizing an interstate debate for women. The winners of this debate will be empowered, financially empowered. And let me tell you, there are people who have money that are looking for capable women to sponsor. Okay. Yes, bring them online, bring them on board, and let these people see them and know that they are qualified for positions. Then they can be favored, and then go into election, and their people can vote them. Because one thing is to have the funding, another thing is to be liked by the people, to be needed by the people.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay, that's great, Mrs. Umpanam. Let me hear your opinion on this.
I think that it goes, as a mental health professional, I feel it goes far deeper than that.
Okay.
It goes deeper in as much as women, when I was growing up and I did my O-level in sociology, it taught us that Anne Oakley wrote a book about women that have been schooled with the marriage market in mind.
Okay.
That would have been their aspirations. And that is ingrained in systemic sexism within society as a whole, not just in Africa, but worldwide. So therefore, what women aspire to be is to be mothers, caregivers. And then you find them in roles within society of teaching and nurturing roles. You hardly ever find them doing chemical engineering or being other things. It's only now this next generation that is coming through that are breaking barriers for women. My daughter, who's 18, is studying to be a chemical engineer. That's what she wants to be. However, when I was growing up, that wasn't even given to me. When I was at school, they gave me needlework. They didn't give me woodwork, and they were very much aligned gender roles. And because of that embargoes that's placed on us in our mind, we don't even conceive the thought that we can even enter into that. So the money is one issue, but it's also changing the mindset. It is Buchi Emechita, who's one of your own authors. She's passed away. I read her books at school, and she talked about second-class citizen. She talked about the bride price. All those different things which gave us the richness and the tapestry of what Africa is and where women are placed in Africa, which makes it difficult for them to be able to step boldly into these situations and be a politician. If you look at Shirley Chisholm in 1972 in America, she was the first black woman who actually went to be the president of the United States of America. And her slogan was unbrought and unbossed. She didn't get on, but she made a statement. And since then, we've got Kamala Harris who's come through, but then there's other things, there's drips and drips coming through, but it is the mindset. And there's a lot of naysayers to say, oh, you can't do this. And some of it even comes from our husbands and our partners. Thankfully, I have a really lovely husband who has supported me with the children, with the childcare and all the operations of the household, which has freed up my time to be able to do it. If you have a woman that's going out there, that's cooking, cleaning, washing, looking after her household, when it comes to the evening, who's got time to engage in any political thoughts?
Of course, you'll be exhausted.
That's right. But naturally, women are the politicians of their own home, because a politician is a good leader. So I've got 4 children, each with their own needs, talents and wants. And I have to have helicopter vision over them to be able to see how to nurture them and make them grow. And that's what politics is. It's about looking at your community, looking what you need to do, what you can hold back on. Even a woman with a shopping list, she's going financially to the market. She has to be able to make financial decisions about how she's going to spend the money so that it can sustain her family. And that is what politicians do. They look at how to nurture and lead their communities and to bring them in and make them successful. And a good politician looks 100 years ahead of themselves. They don't just look at now. They know that the seed, we're planting trees in our community. I know that I'm not going to be there to, I know that I'm not going to reap the shade of that tree because it's going to be around 100 years' time. None of us will be here. But you look at the ozone layer, you look at all those things, and I think that women are best placed to do that. And I think that they should be given the opportunity to do so.
All right, that's great. Giving women opportunity to do that. Mrs. Margaret, now in Africa, do you think this is possible for our men to support us in the home front? You know, for us to yes. Yes. Is it possible for them, you know, to help us, for us to get time to do other things in the political space?
I mean, they're already helping us. Of course, they're already helping us.
No, look at the patriarchal nature
of Africa. Yes. For now, for today, our men are helping us. Yeah, because we have been talking about women empowerment for a long time, right? And we've been working on this line, towing this path for a very long time. And I think it's time for us to begin to reap our results, all right? And talking about men helping us in the home front, I think you're asking for too much. But we can always work on timing, you know, scheduling.
How do we balance it?
Yes, we can balance it. There is somebody I want to talk about. She's the First Lady of Kwara State. Do you know she's an ambassador? She's a professor. She's a mother of 4 children. 4 boys. Yeah, 4 boys. And then she's the First Lady of the state. You can ask me how she's managing her home. I asked her, in one of the programs we read together, I was with her. I asked her, I said, Her Excellency, ma'am, how are you able to manage your home, your career, and your political life? She said her husband understands her because she carries him along. Yes, you have to learn to carry your husband along. In everything you want to do, tell them beforehand. Our men are not wicked. They could be wicked, but they are not wicked to us, right? Because we are their wives, we are their women, and we are their responsibilities. So the most important thing for us to do is to have a plan. Carry them along, tell them the programs you have beforehand, and let them be the one to even wake you up to attend that program. Come back and see how beautiful your home is. That was a secret she gave me. She said it even got to a point that her kids and her husband will be the one to arrange her suitcase.
Right, you have a great mentor.
Carry
there.
Your husbands along and to make it easier.
All right. Of course, you have found a mentor, somebody that is mentoring you and it's playing a role of role model for you. All right. Talking about mentorship and networking, how would this make a difference in this part of the world, Africa?
I think you need a lot of social currency.
Yeah.
You need social currency. Bob Marley once said, some people are so poor, the only thing they have is money. And I've held on to that slogan because it's not money and riches. It is social enterprise. It is being able to pour into somebody and getting it back. It is kindness. It is being politically astute and have emotional intelligence. It takes the African saying is it takes a village to raise a child.
Sure.
And it also takes a village to empower a woman so that that woman can birth all of her gifts in the land of the living, not just being a wife. And I'm not just a wife and a mother. Africa has got an additional layer of support because you have people that help in the home. In England, that's not like that. It's just you and your husband. You know, so my husband has been extremely supportive of me. You know, he understands.
And today you are successful.
Yes. You know, when I was training, we would work night and day. That's how it was. When I had our first child, I was going to give her to a childminder, Abba and my darling daughter. And he said, why is it, my husband's from Ghana. He says, why is it in this country, your most precious gift, you send them to childminders? He changed his whole career, his whole shifts pattern. He worked in the night and I worked in the day, and our children have never been to a childminder. And so when I started to enter into politics, he's been my biggest cheerleader. He's been able to be there. He's even dropped me off at different appointments, kept the children. He's keeping the children now when I'm here, you know, and we support each other. But that's really important. However that is not the majority. And we have to acknowledge that. There are many women who are striving to reach their full potential. Women, we have a whole strategy in London about violence against women and girls. And that is not just isolated to Britain. Yeah, in Nigeria, there's atrocities going on where husbands are murdering their wives. And also in London, you know, unfortunately, one of my cousins died at the hands of domestic violence. And one woman every day dies with domestic violence in England, and it's even increasing. So we have to see, what do we do as women, as a village surrounding women, as social currency? How do we support one another and actually help women, not only by the visual mentorship that we have and the coaching, but actually allow them to flee domestic violence? I became a counsellor because I was pioneering for women to flee domestic violence. And that's how I got into politics. You know, that was my way in, because I didn't really see myself as an elected politician, but that's how it came about. And we as women have to acknowledge that we have a lot more vulnerabilities, and how we're going to support each other and actually address this horrible disease. It's a cancer within society.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So on a final note, I want you to speak to Nigerians, the women that have the zeal, you know, for political participation. And of course, they have the knowledge to give out to the society for development and to better our lots.
What will I have to say to women like myself? Yeah, because you're actually asking me this question. See,
you are already
come out.
Successful. So both of you, from what you said, you know, your men are there for you.
They have,
and they have supported you,
Yes,
and
they
you're
have.
up there.
Of
So
course.
we want everyone to be there.
Until we have a female president in Nigeria, I know the women will not rest.
Yes.
Like what our women used to say, the national women leader of APC, she said, ignore a woman, lose election. That's one of the slogans they use, you know, when they're talking about women in politics. And they said, no woman, no nation. These are slogans that are encouraging us. They are not mere slogans. They are telling us that, yes, we are in the forefront and we are striving, struggling, pushing to clear the path for you to come up. And that is why we want to encourage every woman, everywhere, anywhere you are, be it in the rural area. Yeah, we have counselors. So even the rural areas need counselors. Start from where you are. We have caretakers in the compound. For those of us who have lived in Lagos and other places, we know about these caretakers in the compound. And it's very difficult to find a woman being a caretaker of a compound. Yeah, if you understand what I'm saying, the Nigerian factor. Start from where you are. If you're in a compound, show us that you can be a caretaker.
Okay.
Enter the streets. Become a counselor. Aspire and keep aspiring. The challenges are there, but we have women. Like you talked about the roles of mentors. Our mentors are not sleeping, I believe. They have seen these challenges, like our big sis here has said it. She has seen a lot of challenges that even made her to venture into politics. Right? Because she wants to help us. But when somebody is giving you a rope, and yet there is a battle, or maybe, let's say, the person is feeling pains, and yet stretching out and giving you a rope, and then you're lazing around, the person will drop the rope. Mentors also expect a lot from the Portuguese. They expect us to also come up. They expect us to show capacity. They expect us to create a platform for people like us to also come up. And that is one of the initiatives that we are doing. Right? If you know how to talk very well, you know how to lead, you know how to do one thing or the other that the community or the society needs, come up, show up. It's very important. There was one of the meetings that I was supposed to attend in Cross River State. And I think the Commissioner for Social Welfare, she called me. He said, Margaret, where are you? I said, Mommy, I'm in Abuja. He said, no, I was in Cross River. She said, yeah, I said, I'm in the house. He said, is it in the house that you want to get these benefits? A lot of us, let me say it pop and clear. I'm also a woman. Sometimes I'm lazy. And sometimes we use our husbands as our excuses. Like I said earlier, we have talked about empowering women. We've done farmers empowerment, we've done girl child empowerment, we've done a lot of empowerment for the women. It is time for us to reap even the little we can.
Okay.
It is time for the Portuguese. The mentors are doing a lot, you know. They might not have all the fundings to give us, but they are still assisting us.
Okay.
But it is now time for everybody that is inside the home, inside the room, to come out. Right? And then there is a platform for them to take advantage of.
Of course.
And that is the interstate debate for the women.
This discussion is inexhaustible. We may have to create another time, of course, and invite you here to continue from where you stopped, Mrs. Panam. Thank you for your submission on Lens on Africa. Before I let you go, can you just give us a statement? Nigerian women, a statement.
Okay. Nigerian women, you have what it takes. You really do. You can do anything you put your hands to. As little it is that you feel it is, it can move mountains. And I will say to you that the prettiest lily goes by the muddiest bank. My mum always told me that to inspire me, to keep me going. And I will encourage Nigerian women also to try and be self-sufficient and independent of a man, because then your voices will not be suppressed. As the little things that you can do, motivate yourself. Get a sisterhood going. One hand can't clap. Women come together, empower and encourage each other. You all have something to contribute. This is your world, your society, your community.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much for all your contributions on Lens on Africa. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure when I take this message home, my husband will support me as well. Thank you so much for all your submission on the program. We appreciate you, and good luck in your endeavor.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is Lens on Africa, and next is a special report. Just watch.
This year, one school from each geopolitical zone of the nation participated in the debate, where schools from Adamawa, Kano, Edo, Anambra, Kwara and Ogun states made it to the national level for the championship prize.
Encourages critical thinking in
At the state level, organizers worked with school management boards and the teachers who groomed the students to get to the final stage, from where best two students each from the participating states competed.
Long-term sustainable development.
Their argument was if increase in value-added tax rate is beneficial to the economy or not.
I think they need to generate more revenue.
Queen Elizabeth School, Ilorin in Kwara State, which emerged winner, argued for increase in value-added tax for more infrastructure and national development.
1.75 increase in the economic growth of the country. With this, I believe that the increase in the value-added tax is definitely beneficial.
Anini Mesoma Rejoice from St. John of God Secondary School in Oka, Anambra State, who argued against, was the runner-up. Organizers are hopeful that some of the participants will become tax professionals in the future.
We not only encourage people to pay tax to government because there are benefits. When you pay your taxes, government is able to generate money and use it to provide infrastructure. At the same time, we also advocate that people should not suffer undue burden. Okay? So it's a balanced argument.
The quality of the debate has been very wonderful, and this is a way of contributing to national development.
The winner will be decorated during the next tax summit as the tax ambassador of the year.